The Falcon and the Winter Soldier now brings us up to 25 chapters in the MCU to now rank worst to best. If you're up for that challenge, join me now for this ranking, and I want to see yours in the comments. Welcome to Durbania. I'm Durbin, and this is my ranking of all 25 chapters in the MCU worst to best. I call them chapters because now we're not just ranking movies, we are ranking Disney Plus TV shows carrying on the story and phase 4 of the MCU. So I just call it chapters. Let's lump them together and let's rank the MCU. There's definitely going to be some spoilers ahead, and I'm excited to hear from you. How would you rank all 25 chapters of the MCU? Where does the Falcon and the Winter Soldier fall for you? Where does it fall in mine? Let's talk about it. Number 25, Thor, The Dark World. 24, The Incredible Hulk. And 23, Captain Marvel. Now, when I look at these bottom 3, if you've been following my channel for some time and seen these MCU rankings, you're noticing Captain Marvel fell way lower on my list this time. It's because my wife took a look at the ranking before I recorded this, and she goes, would you really watch Captain Marvel before some of these Iron Man movies? And that was a real tough question, and I went, no, I guess I watched those Iron Man movies before. So this applies to these bottom 3 on this list as well. These 3 are probably the 3 that I watched the least in the MCU. Now let me say this. I think the MCU is fantastic, and I like every movie, every chapter that they've done so far. There's not anything I hate or firmly dislike. So even these bottom 3, I find them entertaining. There's a lot of positive things about them. It's just if I was to take an honest look at these bottom 3, these are the 3 that I watch the least. Number 22, Thor Ragnarok. Number 21, Iron Man 2. And number 20, Iron Man 3. Now, those of you, again, that have been following me for a while, notice when Captain Marvel fell down the list, it bumped up Thor Ragnarok a little bit on the list. So those who've been following me for a while are probably rejoicing right now. Durbin moved Thor Ragnarok up in his list. Other people who might be newer go,
what is your problem?
Honestly, it's because I enjoy Thor Ragnarok. I think it's a fun movie, but I feel like it had no balance. I feel like it leaned too heavy on the slapstick humor, and the whole thing became so slapstick, you miss the true weight of what's going on. Thor's dad dies. Thor's hammer is destroyed. Thor is separated from his world. Thor wants to stop Ragnarok. He finds out that he has a sister that he never knew existed, who is evil, whose power comes from the land Asgard. To save the people Asgard, he now must cause Ragnarok and destroy the land. So I like the slapstick humor. I think it's a fun movie, and I enjoy just popping it in and watching it. But I think Infinity War had the balance that I was looking for, because you have Thor and Rocket, who are stinking hilarious together. But then you have those moments where you really feel the weight of what Thor is dealing with. And so in Ragnarok, I just don't feel like there is that balance. That's why it falls a little bit later, because it feels like something big and epic or serious happens, and then something slapstick happens. It's like, what? Let me sit with what just happened for just a second. I don't mind the joke, but let me sit with this for a little bit. So that's kind of where I'm at with Thor Ragnarok. I feel like Iron Man 2 kind of follows the same beats as Iron Man 1, and I would love to put Iron Man 3 higher, but that twist where Ben Kingsley is not the Mandarin, oh my gosh. He was so good as the Mandarin. What a dynamic villain, and he's not the dynamic villain. And then we have Aldrich Killian. He's not that dynamic, so I don't know. I was really kind of sad about that twist, but very cool with the Shang-Chi trailer. We get a look at the real Mandarin. At least we think it's the real Mandarin. I'm looking forward to it. Are you looking forward to that? Number 19, Ant-Man and the Wasp. 18, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And 17, Ant-Man. I like these group of movies because these are the kind that I could just enjoy. Like, they're the kind that I don't have to think, don't have to get too deep into. I can just stick them in the 4K player or hit play on Disney Plus and just let them run. And if I need to do something on the computer, I can laugh at the jokes or whatever else is going on. They're just those fun type of movies that I don't have to think too much about, and I could put them in just for the sheer fun of it. Number 16, Captain America, the First Avenger. Number 15, here it is, the new one, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And number 14, WandaVision. I really did want the Falcon and the Winter Soldier to fall higher on this list. It didn't. And part of the reason is, as I'm watching this series, I was getting so mad that I had to wait week to week. It's because it took me a little bit to get in the flow. Once I was in it, I was loving it. Like, it has a good story. I love its exploration of the blip. I think the action is great, but every time I was getting into it, the episode would end. Now, when I binged it all, I had a lot more fun. And it just confirmed what I already thought. To me, this would be a way better movie than a TV show. A lot of people in my comments disagreed with that, and they're glad it was a show because it had more time with the characters. And you know what? I can't disagree with that line of thought. For some reason, I can't escape it in myself. I wish that this was a movie with some of the fat trimmed, because if you get a really good movie, you really can get into those characters. You can get into their character arcs. You could explore the blip and explore what they're doing, but you keep that pacing moving and the action sequences coming. And so for me, if this was more of a film in the vein of Captain America, the Winter Soldier, which dealt with a lot of deep and heavy issues and did a great job with it, I feel like I could have ranked this a lot higher. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And WandaVision ranks above it because I recently binged that show for actually binging episode back to back for the second time. And I did it with my brother-in-law. And man, he hadn't seen it before, so binging it with him was just so much more engaging. It was fun to watch his reactions. At the end of each episode, as the credits were going, he would just go ahead and theorize and guess, even though he knew that I knew what was going to happen. But it was a blast to go through that. So I found WandaVision as a series that worked better and was a bit more engaging. Number 13, Thor. Number 12, Spider-Man Homecoming. And number 11, Iron Man. Yep, the first Thor of the entire Thor trilogy is absolutely my favorite. I loved it. I love Kenneth Branagh's direction. I love that Shakespearean feel that he brought to it. I love that kind of King Arthur legend thing that was happening where Thor in his pride was no longer worthy of Mjolnir and opened the peaceful lands up to war. And until he was worthy, he couldn't wield Mjolnir, which meant him humbling himself and admitting, I don't know. I don't know everything. And it was cool to see his character grow, change, and transform throughout the course of the movie. So I really do like that first Thor movie a lot. Tom Holland is my favorite live-action Spider-Man so far. So I thought Homecoming was a great movie. And I'm one of those people that really enjoyed the mentorship of Tony Stark and bringing his character and mannerisms and all that stuff in there. I thought, Tom Holland and Robert Downey Jr. had a great chemistry, so I thought that worked really well to have that kind of almost father-son type relationship, as, basically Iron Man is his superhero dad helping him grow in that area of his life to become a real superhero, and then, take that also to his real life. So there's a lot of really cool things I like about Spider-Man Homecoming. In the first Iron Man, what more can you say? It's a classic. It started the whole thing, and it should. It's a very good, solid film. Number 10, Avengers. Number 9, Avengers Age of Ultron. Number 8, Black Panther. Number 7, Doctor Strange. As we get into the top 10, the first 4 of the top 10, they are all such good movies. I mean, I love Doctor Strange because I love the visuals. And again, I'm a sucker for that type of character arc where you have somebody like Doctor Strange who thinks he's the best at everything, ends up getting humbled and humbles himself so that he learns, I gotta learn. And then we really see him begin to grow and thrive as a character and as a person. And I thought it was a really good story. I love the whole magic aspect and how they use that. So all of that I thought was so incredibly good. I love Black Panther. It's got a great hero. It's got a 3-dimensional villain. And then you have Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. Love both. I love that first Avengers, such a classic, so well done, showed the shared universe model can work, and I love Age of Ultron, and I rank that above Avengers on purpose, because I love James Spader as Ultron, and I feel like they did a great job with that movie, taking it to the next level. Now that the Avengers are together, how do you drive them apart? Introducing Wanda, the Scarlet Witch in there, getting into their minds to drive them apart, and kind of what they learned in the first movie, they have to relearn, but it's also got to be more. Like, it's got to be unity, and they got to take it to that deeper level, and all kinds of interesting things going on in this movie. So there's a lot of fun I had with Age of Ultron. Number 6, Guardians of the Galaxy, and number 5, Spider-Man Far From Home. Guardians of the Galaxy is probably my biggest MCU surprise. I didn't think it was going to be a good idea, and then I saw that first trailer, fell in love with it, saw the movie, and it was even better than the trailers. I was like, this is awesome. And Spider-Man Far From Home, I think, is my favorite live-action Spider-Man film. I really like putting Peter Parker in a new environment. I like the whole plot and story. Now that Tony Stark is gone, people are looking for a new hero. It's kind of what we're dealing with on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Who's the next Captain America? Well, Spider-Man Far From Home is who is the next Iron Man? And it's about Peter learning, well, nobody can be the next Iron Man, but what I can be is the best Spider-Man that I can be. And kind of his journey to realize that, because he was putting all that pressure on himself. The world was putting that pressure on him. He was taking it on himself. So it's a very interesting story with a very good theme. And then that big reveal at the end that there were the Skrulls, like the secret invasion. What is going on with that? Captain Marvel gives us the twist that the Skrulls weren't really the bad guys. So I'm very interested. Like, it left us in a good place. It had a good Spider-Man story, and it left us in a good place wanting more and curious about the future.
Spider-Man's name is Peter Parker. What the?
Number 4, Captain America Civil War, and number 3, Captain America the Winter Soldier. These used to be more interchangeable because I love Civil War and Winter Soldier, but I feel like Winter Soldier is going to be consistently above Civil War because I really like what they did with this movie. I love that it is an action-packed spy thriller. Like I said, action-packed, so it's got a lot of great action, but they mixed the superhero genre in there so well, and it showed us Captain America now living in modern America. So it was interesting to finally, not in a team-up movie, but bring him out of the 40s and seeing him experience this world. And very interesting how they dealt with it, because the plot being Hydra was growing inside of S.H.I.E.L.D. They were trying to grow inside of all of these secret systems and feed the world conflict, because they found out we can't take freedom by force. So what we can do is make people afraid, so that in their fear, they will willingly give up their freedoms. How unbelievably fascinating is that? So it's a very good story and very good plot, though I also love Civil War because you see the Avengers divide. And you really get to not just hear the corny phrase, united we stand and divided we fall. You actually see them divide. You see the destruction of that division. You see them fall, and then Thanos shows up. Number 2, Infinity War, and number 1, Avengers Endgame. These final 2 Avengers movies are definitely my favorite of the MCU, in huge part because there's so much buildup, okay? There's a lot of expectation. There's a lot of weight on these movies, and I think they met our expectations for the most part. I mean, for me, they met my expectations. Infinity War was just nonstop action, with the twist at the end that the bad guy snapped. Thanos snapped, and he won. Half of all life in the universe disintegrated. I mean, I don't know. I think if I had that glove, my idea would be, if I snap, what if I just create more resources for people to live? That thought never entered his mind. It was death. I mean, they give you, reasoning why he thinks it has to be this way, and it does flesh him out. It makes him a 3-dimensional villain, and he is a great villain, 110%, but it just shows you the dark understanding that he went the darkest path he could go and snapped half of all life out of existence, and he won. Then you got Endgame. Yeah, sure, the pace slows down, but it needed to. It needed to slow down because we had to see that impact on the world. We had to see how much the world was suffering in these last 5 years. My gosh, I'm sitting there in the theater watching this for the first time, and after they cut off Thanos' head, the screen went black, and it went 5 years later. My theater just went, there was just that gasp. Or how about the other big audience reaction when Captain America is able to wield Mjolnir? Ha! My entire theater stood up like at a football game, and they were cheering, and guess what? I was one of them. Oh my gosh, I miss awesome audience experiences like that on the big screen. But man, Endgame is such a good movie. In fact, I did this video called Endgame End Times. So check out that video and you'll see primarily what I think about, especially when I'm seeing the ending sequence of Endgame. But I love it. I think it's fantastic. And so after 11 years of buildup, closing out kind of that first generation of heroes as we're moving into the next, it's a tremendous ending and a tremendous new beginning. That's my ranking, and that's how I broke it down. What's yours? How would you break this down? Let's talk about that in the comments, and I'm excited to hear from you how you would rank the MCU and where you're gonna rank the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. While you're doing that, hit that subscribe button to become a Durbanian, and hit that bell by the subscribe button so you're notified when I do more videos like this, when I do more ranking videos, or theological analyses, movie reviews, trailer reactions, and anything else I do here. I'm Durbin. Thanks for checking out Durbania.